How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk a little bit more about Jeffrey Epstein. If for some reason you don't know who that is, I'm sure you have seen some of the memes all over the internet. So I've posted quite a few of them on my pages because I believe, and many other people believe, that it's true. He did not kill himself. Now, before I even get into it, I got to back up a little bit here to explain what's happening, give you a little bit more context, and then I'll get into the subject of today's video. Now, Jeffrey Epstein was a very rich and powerful person, a billionaire. I believe he was a hedge fund manager. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments below. But he had many rich and powerful friends, including one Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew from over there in UK, and many others. You're talking about heads of state, sultans, prime ministers, presidents, really big top level guys he was friends with. Now, the reason why he was important is because aside from being a rich guy, a billionaire with a lot of rich and powerful friends, he was also a world-renowned pedophile. He had a private island, I think it was in the US Virgin Islands, and he had a plane called the Lolita Express. He would fly himself and many other men like Bill Clinton, who had been on there like 26 times, although he denies going to the rape island, but I digress. He flew himself and many other powerful men to this island for the express purpose of abusing underage girls, for engaging in large-scale pedophilia. That is what he did. Now, as a result of that, he got locked up. He was in MCC in Manhattan. That's the Metropolitan Correctional Center. It's like a federal jail where people get held until they go to trial for a federal case, rather than going to Rikers, which is not a federal institution. But we'll move on. So he's there in jail, and I'm thinking, okay, what's going to happen here? He had been arrested before on the same charges in Florida and pretty much got a slap on the wrist. You know, less than a year in jail, and he was able to be outside of the jail for most of the day, like 16 hours. You could still fly around and do whatever he wanted. I would not be surprised if he boarded the Lolita Express and went to the island while he was serving the sentence, quote unquote sentence, in Florida back in 2008, but we'll move on. He's in MCC. He's not able to get out. There's no bail, no nothing. You just got to stay there. I'm like, okay, something's going to happen to this guy. You're talking about somebody that's high level like that. You got dirt on everybody that is engaged in this international sex trafficking ring. If not everybody, quite a few people, very important people. Bill Clinton being the top one on my list that would endanger his life. I mean, we all know about the suiciding that happens as a result of being linked to the Clintons, going all the way back to Arkansas. But I digress. We all know that he may end up dead by being in there because people don't want him to start talking. They don't want him to seem like a songbird. And he winds up dead a short time later. Nobody's surprised. Now, there were so many irregularities, quote unquote irregularities, in that whole thing that our fears of him being killed seem to be validated. The official response from the city medical examiner that looked at his body after he died in the hospital was suicide. They told us that this big 6 foot tall man hung himself from the top bunk with paper thin sheets and killed himself that way. It doesn't make any sense. A private forensic pathologist hired by Epstein's brother, Mark, came back and said that this injury that he sustained on his neck was consistent with a homicide by strangulation and not suicide. That's the first thing that lets us know that this whole thing about suicide probably wasn't true. Then let's get back to the quote unquote irregularities. There's cameras all in the jail, right? Everywhere. For some reason, the cameras right outside Epstein's jail cell and right next to it just stopped working miraculously right at the time when he died. Also, he was on suicide watch 1 week before he died. Okay. So just so happy he was on suicide watch because he got injured on the net before and said, okay, put him on suicide watch. He was taken off suicide watch. 1 week later, 7 days later, he's dead. Okay. Then you have prison guards that are to check on him every half hour. 2 guards miraculously fall asleep for 3 hours apiece at the same time. Like they sleep together basically. So nobody's checking them for a 3-hour period. The officers falsified records to say that they did check on him when they didn't. So now they have been arrested and they're charged for that particular crime of falsifying their records. Okay. So is it a conspiracy? I keep getting told by people on Twitter that I'm pushing conspiracy theories. How are you going to say that ABL, he did kill himself? The city examiner said it. But what's up with all these irregularities? You got the camera start working, the guards falsifying records, falling asleep. It's so many things that don't add up. It just points to the fact that he did not kill himself. Okay, it's pretty clear what's going on. And like I said, many of us knew what would be the case before he even went to jail. It wasn't even a thing to us. It wasn't even like a surprise. It was like, okay, he's dead. Who killed him? All right. We all know about the Clintons. We all know about how the royal family gets down. I mean, Princess Diana, what happened with that? I digress, though. There are so many people that had a vested interest in him getting killed. So many people that you might not even know. Slick Willie and Prince Andrew, that's the two that we know about. But how many others were in that black book? I mean, you got Kevin Spacey in there. You're talking about some big wigs, not just Hollywood, famous people, but people that really run the world. You understand? Big money people, heads of state. It's so many individuals that had an interest in having him dead. It just makes sense that that would happen. And it lets you know that the deep state, it's a real thing. Much of what many of us on the right talk about, especially those of us that are kind of involved in politics, people on the left and just regular normies just dismiss as, you know, tinfoil hat theories, conspiracy theories, you know, you're just a right-wing nut job, this, that, and the third. But much of what we're saying has been coming to light. With Epstein, it's clear he didn't kill himself. I want to know what the guards are going to say. Can they testify in their own trial? Can they say what happened? Can they talk about any kind of outside forces? Now, what I would say, in lieu of them being arrested, look out for them. Are they going to get killed in jail? Because think about it like this. If they were approached by somebody or some people to just take a nap, don't be by the cell for a few hours, you know, writing a book that you were there, just not raising any kind of, if they were approached to do that by outside individual or force and they get arrested and they're facing football numbers in the penitentiary, may they snitch? Might they roll? Or maybe it could be a situation where, you know, they get a real light sentence, but maybe not. I mean, the federal authorities said, we can give you a plea deal, but they rejected that. So if they go to trial, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be a tough one to actually evade. You did what you did and somebody died as a result, regardless of how despicable they were and how much they deserve to die. You can't be like just, you know, killing people just because. That's not really how that works. Maybe they didn't do it, of course, but somebody else did. And I would love to know who that somebody is. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself like the city medical examiner said from the beginning? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or do you think that Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself? He was suicided by an outside force like the private forensic pathologist alluded to. Okay, he didn't say that it was an outside force, but he did say the injuries on his neck appeared to be from strangulation, homicide by strangulation. Not suicide. Homicide means somebody killed you. Suicide means you killed yourself. It's pointing to homicide, not suicide. So many irregularities. I mean, how is it possible for all those things to happen? The cameras, the guards, you're not on suicide watch anymore. How is it possible for all those things to happen at once and it be a coincidence? Just happenstance. You got this high profile inmate the whole world knows about, international pedophile, big time people he's connected to, just miraculously dies in prison from suicide by hanging himself from a paper thin sheet off a top bunk when he's 6 foot tall. It does not make any sense. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.